back to Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo and today is Monday, April 29th, 2019. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Well, the Denver Nuggets might be struggling in their first round playoff matchup with the Spurs, but at least the good people of Denver have Ivana Ivusic to keep their heads up this spring. Over the weekend, Ivana and her team decided to release a short clip from one of their latest leg day efforts as she starts to head down the home stretch of her first prep of the season. Every year, Ivana seems to look like she comes out of nowhere and adds one or two upgrades to her look that we hadn't seen before. And I think one or two more features on a high-performance vehicle like this could make her pretty tough to handle if she gets into the right lineup. After watching the first few weeks of the NFL playoffs, one of the things that jumps out to me right away is how some supposedly big-time players always seem to end up shrinking in the spotlight. But you know who's not shrinking? Brandon Hendrickson, because all this guy does is elevate his game when the stakes are at their highest. Now that he's finally back in the groove again, the reigning Olympia champ seems like he's starting to pick up steam, which probably hasn't gone unnoticed by some of the rivals of his in the division. In a lot of ways, 2019 could end up being the biggest year of Brandon's career when it's all said and done. But he's the only one who has the final say on what the next chapter of his legacy actually looks like. Back in the day, one of my old track coaches used to tell me to do whatever I had to do to get out in front, because once you're there, it's up to everyone else to play catch-up. And right now, there might only be one or two other guys in the bodybuilding division who aren't trying to play catch-up to Brandon Curry. This weekend, the reigning Arnold Classic champ released two short clips from some of his latest back day efforts as he and his team start to shift their focus towards ironing out their Olympia plans. There were moments during his run at the Arnold where you could look at Brandon up there on that stage and think that he had an argument to be the best bodybuilder on the planet. But it'll still take all that and then some if he wants to have a legitimate shot to challenge Sean Roden for the title. There's a chemical in our brains called BDNF that helps establish neural networks and makes us more efficient at tasks over time. But if you ask me, it's pretty damn hard to be more efficient than classic physique all-star Steve Laureus. Somehow, despite the fact that he put together the best look of his career by far at the Arnold Classic to start the season, Steve almost feels forgotten through the early part of the year. If you can remember back to last year, it was right around this time when he really started to pick up steam after he won his pro debut at the Pittsburgh Pro. So as long as he keeps building on where he's at and doesn't slow down to admire the scenery, I could see him being someone who makes some major moves by the end of the summer. Sometimes when you're working, you can get into a zone where time feels like it, well, just slips away. They call that zone the flow state. And right about now, Dani Castillo is feeling the flow. A few days ago, the women's physique star was spotted cranking out some weekend arm action as she continues to get herself ready mentally and physically for her 2019 campaign. When she's firing on all cylinders, I think Dani can be one of the three best athletes in the division. So if she comes back ready and rested with the same energy that she had at the start of the year, I can see her being an absolute terror down the second half of the schedule. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.